Hey everybody, it's Becky from Power Tools with Thread. How you guys doing? Oh, my heater kicked on. Just a second. Of course, right when I start to do a video, the heater kicks on. This is a converted back patio, and it was never, I don't think plumbed is the right word. Ducted, is that a word? I don't know. For heat and air. So being in South Texas, got to have both, of course. And so I have one of those little fireplace heaters down here on the floor, and I have a window unit, air conditioning unit out here. But that's not what I got on here to talk to you guys about. I've talked several times in the last couple of videos about doing a project, making a mug rug with the Brothers ScanNCut, and making it work out. I got the sample finished. I think it turned out super cute. Look at that. We're going to do this, but not in this video. I think I told you on my introductory video that I'm a little manic. I go from project to project to project. It's crazy, but it keeps me busy. I tell my husband it keeps me out of the bars. So, 100 years ago, back in 2014, I was subscribing to Quilts and More magazine. This issue, let me see, fall 2014, had the cutest little quilt in it called a Rhino Quilt. See that? It's got little pockets to put toys in. And see the rhino? That's an applique. And you know how you'll be getting these magazines. I know you quilters get these all the time. You get a magazine, it has the prettiest thing in it. It's got applique. They have this paper in the back, you know, and it's got all these designs on it. You're supposed to print out or pull out and maybe make a copy if you want to destroy it, if you don't want to destroy the original. So like here's the rhino. See that? I don't know if you can see. I guess I should stand up. There's the rhino, okay? This is what I use Simply Applique for. It makes it so much easier. You don't have to trace this onto heat and bond and then iron it onto a piece of fabric and then cut it out by hand and then machine stitch it down onto your quilt block. Simply Applique is going to do that for me as an embroidery file. So there's a couple things you have to do in order to do that. And y'all, I have talked and preached about the Brothers ScanNCut and the use of Simply Applique as a companion for that. So I'm going to show you how you can take something you get in your magazine and turn it into a machine applique embroidery file. Also, in my last video when I was talking about those cutting machines, I think I made the mistake of not saying I was talking about electronic cutting machines. I'm not talking about those cutting machines where they have a die that you put over a gazillion layers of fabric and run it through a press to cut quilt blocks. That's not what I was talking about at all. I was talking about Cricuts and the Silhouette and the ScanNCut, the electronic cutting machines that will cut whatever design out that you happen to put in there, whatever file type you happen to put in there, a digital file. So the reason I started working on this quilt kit, when I was doing, okay, so 2014 I got the magazine. I absolutely love that quilt. And over the years, as I went through and I was purging and cleaning and decluttering and that kind of thing, I always kept this particular issue because of that quilt. And then maybe 2.5 years, 3 years ago, Missouri Star put the fabric kit, I've got it, put the fabric kit on clearance. There was a lot more than this before I cut it up. But they put the fabric kit on clearance. And the pattern didn't come with it. But this is the fabric for that Rhino quilt. So I had that. And when the fabric came in, it had a note in it that's, because I was like, well, where's the pattern? I need the Rhino. And there was a note in there that said, the pattern can be found in Quilts and More from fall of 2014. And I was like, oh, because I'd forgotten that I had the magazine. And so I went running back in the back room and went digging through it. Sure enough, found the issue and was thrilled to death and didn't make it. So I've probably had both pattern and fabric, did not get them together, since 2016, late, maybe early 2017. So now, fast forward to 2019, 5 years now I've had that magazine. And when I was going around the room showing, when I was doing the remodel for the sewing room, one of you commented, Devin commented, is that the quilt kit for the Rhino quilt? I saw the quilt kit. Eagle eye, Devin, very good. And so I was like, yeah, and they put a comment in there and they said, been looking for the pattern, got the fabric from Missouri Star, no pattern. And would I by chance have the pattern? And yes, I did. And I just emailed it to Devin today. So, you're welcome. You never know what you're going to find in my stash around here. Happy to share it, though. Very happy to share it. So, anyway, I just did a test and on the ScanNCut to, because I cut up the squares I needed for it today, this morning, and I just, I backed what I'm going to make the Rhino out of with Pellon 911 featherweight interfacing. I didn't use heat and bond, I just used an interfacing. I wanted to give it, well, I wasn't thinking, and I did it wrong, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. I'll just put it onto the quilt square using a glue stick or 505 or whatever. So let's get busy with the ScanNCut and Simply Applique, and let me show you how I make these rhinos. So I made a copy of the Rhino from the printed pattern that came in the magazine, and it looks like I hope you can see this. See that smudgy mark? That's the fold in the original pattern paper, and my scanner picked it up. Not a big deal, but so the first thing we have to do is get this into the ScanNCut to turn it into a digital image. So the Brother ScanNCut has a mat that's called, my model is the 650 wireless. 650W is what it is. And this is called a scanning mat, and it'll say on there, ScanNCut only for scanning. It's not sticky at all, and it comes with a plastic sheet to cover your paper. So you slip it in, doesn't matter where, and line it up into the machine, okay? And I'm gonna go back to home because I was playing around with it, and I want to scan it and scan to cut data. Let me load the mat. I understand the new DX is much more quiet than this one, so not a big deal. I don't worry about keeping anybody awake or anything. So now I'm going to run it through and just hit the start button. Okay, now it says it's recognizing it. I guess I could zoom in, maybe you could see. And this is real time, folks, so this is how long it takes. There we go. So there's the Rhino, and I want the outer line. So they have the outer line, the inside, outside, and inside and outside. I don't know, that's weird. I want just the outer line of this,
and I'm going to save it. And I'm going to save it in the ScanNCut canvas. Okay, it says it's project number 50. So, there's a pile of stuff here on my work table. Let me find my mouse. And I'm going to turn this way and go to my screen. I hope you can see everything. Let me back up a little bit so you can see. Yeah, that's my screen. Okay, so I'm going to go to my projects. I think I'm already in my projects. Let me go to new. And then I'm going to go to my projects right here. This is the Brother Canvas workspace. And there is my Rhino. So let's click on him. There he is. Now, as you can see you see the screen pretty good? Let me zoom in for you here. I don't want to jostle this too much. Okay. So on the screen here, all I want is the Rhino. I'm going to click off everything. I'm going to grab the Rhino. Oh look, he's a couple of different lines. That happens with graphics. Don't worry about that. Not a big deal. And then I'm going to grab a hold of the rest of him and just hit delete on my keyboard. Okay? And then there's a line down here I don't want. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to bring him back over. And he's got some kind of something right there. Whoop. Let me make this bigger. Oh, that's that smudge line. See that? Wonder how I can get rid of that. So it ended up, I could not get rid of that smudge. What I ended up doing was rescanning. That was the smudge from the fold in the paperwork. What I ended up doing was rescanning him and I just cut a little piece of white paper and put it over the black part under the mat. I didn't have to tape it or anything. Underneath that plastic cover, I don't know if you guys can see what I'm talking about. I just put a little piece of white paper over it, and that was enough that on this one, that smudge is not there. So let me grab him, pull it over, grab the rest of everything else, hit delete, and bring him back. Okay, now this Rhino is 8.5 by 6. So if you want to change the size, you need to do that right now, because you have to do it in the Canvas workspace before, or you can do it on the machine itself, the cutting machine, but you have to do it before you make your first cut and before you put it into Simply Applique, because Simply Applique is only going to go with what it is that you tell it to do here, okay, in the Canvas. So it's 8.5. I want to make it just a little bit smaller. Now, like if you only had a 5x7 hoop on your embroidery machine, you would want this to be at a 5x7. And let me see. Let me tilt this and see if you can see down just a little bit on the screen. Oh, I don't want to make you guys sick. If I can get there. It's down in this. No, that's not moving. My tripod is not cooperating. Down in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen are the precise, it's 7.94 by 4.61. So it's not 6, it's almost 5 inches, 4.5. So what I did, if you want to change the size proportionately, you want to grab the corner handle. That'll change the length and the width at the same time. If you grab a handle on one end or the other, you will stretch it, make it skinny, and if you grab it on one side or the other, you will make it fat, or skinny. But if you grab it in the corner, everything stays the same. So that's almost 8 inches. I'm going to move it down to about 7. Let me go. There's about 7.5. Okay? So that's the size I want for my applique. Now, all you have to do is hit, let me back out a little bit so you can see. That's what I needed to do before was, so down here in this corner, there's where the actual measurements are of what your item is up here. Now all I have to do is hit download. When you go to download in the Brother Canvas workspace, this says download to PC, and that's the FCM, untitled.fcm. That is the file that you will import into Simply Applique to turn that Rhino into an applique. ScanNCut transfer, when you click this, it's going to download it to wirelessly. So, also when I was going around the sewing room, one of y'all had asked me, what do I use the 24-inch mat for? Well, you're fixing to find out. Let me turn this so you can see the, I'm going to eject the scanning mat. Okay. And now I need to get the pattern. So I'm going to go to Home. Okay to delete. Okay. And I'm going to go to Pattern. And I want to get it from, there's a little cloud to the machine. Get it from the cloud. That's it. Perfect. Now, I don't think it does matter which way you want him to face, because you're turning your fabric's upside down for the cut, and I want it to look just like this with the nose to the left, and this one has his nose, I don't know if it matters. Let's see if I cut it out. That one looks like it has the nose to the right. That's just because that's how I scanned it in. Okay, that's what I need, the nose to the right, which means when it gets cut, it's going to be on the left. So, I have put 3 pieces of backed fabric onto my 24-inch mat. I can't tell how that camera goes. I'm going to load this in. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to do is I have already told the machine that this is a 24-inch mat, and you do that by going to you do that in the settings. So now I want to scan this and make sure that the Rhino shows up where he should be. So now we're going to scan the mat, and what it's doing is it's finding out, it's looking for where all of the fabric is. Now I only have to load the mat 2 times for 6 rhinos, as opposed to 6 times for 6 rhinos. Okay. So one of the things I need to do is make more than 1 rhino. So I'm going to come up here, and I want to, let's see. No, that's to change his size. So guys, you guys are learning right along with me. I needed more than 1 rhino, and the way to do it is to do an add. I'm going to add another one from Save Data. I saved it to the machine. Oops, didn't mean to do that. There, now I've got 3 rhinos on here. Go down to the bottom and pull him. Whoop. That's being difficult. Alright, you guys, took a little finagling, but I figured it out. So I got my 3 rhinos in the center of each of the fabric pieces. So now I'm going to hit OK and cut. And it's going to take 2 minutes. So here we go. This is loud. The new DX machine is very quiet, but this one makes a lot of noise. So I'm going to put you on pause until it finishes. All right, we're all finished cutting. Let me eject the mat. Now I'm going to do this one more time for the other 3 rhinos. I'll do that in a minute. So, y'all want to see how it came out? You know that little, I think it's called a shaving cup. It's one of those command strip little cups. I'll show you guys. I don't know if you can see it. I put it on my, I put it on the side of my ScanNCut to hold my little tool. It has a tool rack back here, but it's awful. It's not good. I don't care for that. This is just easier. So, let's pull this up, see how it turned out. My blade was set at a 4, and I did a test cut beforehand to make sure that it was going to come out. See that little hole? Can you see that little circle hole? That was my test cut. Okay, came out just perfect. When I was making the mug rug, that vinyl that I had, the glitter vinyl from Kimberbell, woo, that stuff stretched. Look, he's perfect. He came out absolutely perfect, exactly the way I wanted him to. So I need to pull these other 2 up. Y'all, this is so much fun. I didn't have to cut all that out by hand. I'm terrible at cutting things out. I get lazy and sloppy, and these are perfect. So you can back your fabric in heat and bond. I don't know what I was thinking. I just automatically did it and then interfacing. Just wasn't thinking. Oh, that came out great. Yeah, I like that. And on this last one, I wanted to fussy cut the fabric because it had a pretty pattern, and I wanted to make sure that the navy blue crisscross patterns were right on the body of the rhino, and it looks like it came out really good. This is so exciting and so much fun. Look at him. Look how he came out. I'm really happy with that. So, now let's do some magic with Simply Applique. Let me come back over here to my laptop. And we're going to open Simply Applique. There's that shamrock I was working on. Alright, so I'm going to go to New, which is, so Simply Applique. The little icon up here in the top of the screen, it's right up here for New. I'm going to hit New. Oh, first let's go back to the Brother Canvas workspace. So we did the ScanNCut transfer. I'm done with that. I'm going to X out of that. Now I'm going to download it again. File transfer method, and I want to go download untitled FCM. So I'm going to click on that, and it wants to know where I want to save it. And I'm going to save it in Save As. I'm going to go to my embroidery folder. I created an embroidery folder in my documents folder so I can keep track of stuff. Did I ever, because I played with this a while ago. I did not. I don't have one. So I'm going to do new folder, Rhino Quilt. There. Okay. Open this up, and I'm going to call it Rhino and save it. Alright. I don't want to open it yet. So, back to Simply Applique. I'm on a new design, and you go, hit the A up here in this corner, that little icon, and go down to this menu, and it says Import FCM, and it wants to know where I want to get it. So I'm going back up here to, I keep all these folders here in my quick reach because I'm in them all the time. So I'm going to hit embroidery and Rhino Quilt and my Rhino and open. There he is. Ta-da! Now, you got to pay attention here. Okay? See how he's facing the wrong way in there? I need to flip him 180 degrees to make sure he comes out right. So I'm going to go to the Arrange tab up here at the top and flip vertical. Don't mess with the size. You don't want to mess with the size here because you've already established the size with the cutout, okay? So now I'm just going to go over, I'm finished. I don't need to do anything with him, okay? Now you click off of the Rhino and then come over here and click on it in this one. So it's selected again, and then you go to Tools, and there's a button that says Convert to Applique. Done. That's it. That's simple. Now, over here in this menu, there's a little plus sign, and you can click on that, and then here's your applique file right here, and you click on this plus sign, and what it's giving you, I need to sit down, my back, I'm old. Ugh. What it has done is it shows color changes, okay? So number 1 is the placement stitch. It doesn't say anything, it's in black. Number 2, it says Madeira Poly Neon, and then it gives you a color, which is melon. And then number 3 is Madeira Poly Neon. That is my choice of threads. You can choose a Floriani palette. You can choose any thread palette you want at all in the in your preferences. Okay, when you get in here and play with this. So, and y'all, I actually sat and read the user manual. It's very helpful if you do that. It's very helpful. Now, when there is a color change, that means that the machine, your embroidery machine, is going to stop doing whatever it is in order for you to change a thread color if you want to. You don't have to, okay? I normally will use the same color for the placement stitch, the tack down, and the satin stitch. You can change the depth of how the stitch will be on your fabric if you click on Applique, and here are all of your applique types. So like it says placement offset. For placement offset, it's at a 0, and so that really doesn't matter if you make it smaller or not. Placement offset means how far inside of the fabric do you want that stitch to be. Tack down offset, it says it defaults to minus 0.5. I want it to be minus 0.85. And when you make a change, it doesn't stick. See how it goes bold? It's not stuck until you click apply. And when you click apply, it will unbold. So I want that tack down offset to be just a little inside of where the placement stitch was to make sure that we catch all the edges. Okay? And then it says the stitch length on the applique is going to be 2.0. So I know that 2.0 will cover the minus 0.9 of the tack down. Okay? So let's go to the machine. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oh, you know what I got to do? I got to save it to a USB stick. See my little USB? Looks like a sewing machine. Isn't that cute? I don't know where I got that years ago. Put that in the machine. And I'm going to go File, Save As. That's that EMB1. That's what I've got. This defaults to paste setter outline files, BRF, every time. Again, very annoying. I have a Brother Quattro, so I'm going up to the Brother. Now you see, you can save this in Janome, Viking, Pfaff, Singer, all different kind of files. Okay, so I'm going to save it, and it'll do a Brother multi-needle as well. So I'm going to save that. It has Kenmore too, and I'm going to call this Rhino and save it to the stick. Okay, now we are ready to go to the machine. So I have hooped my square of the fabric, which is 10.5 by 10.5 in my hoop. I did not have a piece of stabilizer big enough to fit the hoop, so I just layered 2 pieces. No big deal. But it looks like it's hooped pretty good. It could be hooped a little tighter, so I'm going to put some pins in the edge here to almost like as if it were being floated, just along the edges to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. I also, on my square, folded it in half and made a crease long ways into 4/4 so I could have center. Okay, and I need to get my little snowman or a Target sticker of some sort, so you know where center is and your machine can find it. That's the handiest thing ever, to be able to do that. So I'm going to do this turquoise guy on this gray piece right here, and we'll see how he does. Okay? Okay. So, some of you may want to see how to thread the embroidery machine. A lot of you are very new at this. And I started probably 7 or 8 years ago, 10 years ago, with the Brother PE 770. And it didn't have all these fancy bells and whistles, and you don't have to have that. The PE 770 is a great, great machine. But it's really simple to thread these things. They have numbers that tell you where to go and what to do, and then you don't even have to be able to see, and it will thread it for you. So I wish I could move the machine a little bit closer so you guys could see. I have my thread right here, and I come up, it has an antenna up off the top. I like to use this little thread guide right here. It just keeps things kind of straight, because behind there's a whole lot of other threads and I don't want anything getting all tangled up. So you come up and you go through number 1 and around and down through number 2. And I do a little flossing right here to make sure, because those tension discs are right here behind number 2. And I like to make sure, I learned that on my 770, that is inside that tension disc. Come up, go down around 3, come up to 4, that's the take-up lever, and down through 5, 6 is at the needle, and 7 is up. And then you come around and tear off. And then it has a very cool little feature with this little thread button. And that's it. Okay, it is threaded. Now, I'm going to hit embroidery, and it chirps at me, and I wish I could get this down where you guys could see the screen. I'm going to hit embroidery, or that's for the USB thing. And my little Rhino is right here, so I'm going to touch him. There he is. So now I'm going to put my hoop in. Let's get this under here. And this square is 10.5 by 10.5. Alright, so now let's use this Simply Applique. So if you look here on the screen, there's the black, the red, and the emerald green. Okay, the black is the placement stitch, the red is the tack down, and the emerald green is the satin stitch. But I'm going to do it all in the same color, which is an aqua that matches this guy. Okay, so we're just going to go. I'm going to put the foot down. The button here turns green, and you go. Okay guys, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see the placement stitch? There's the Rhino. Okay, I'm going to put some 505, which is, I get this at Hobby Lobby. You can get it at Walmart. This stuff, it's great for fabric projects. Okay, look. he fits perfectly in that line. See that? You want to make sure that the smaller parts are in right on or just inside that tack down, okay? So, looks pretty good. Only reason I'm using 505 is because I didn't back him with heat and bond. He's real soft and has a lot of body to him with that interfacing, and I really like that. Oh, I got to put this on correctly. So, put this in here, all the way in, lock it down, put my foot down. Now it's going to do the tack down. Don't put your fingers in the field like I am. You're not supposed to. I can't help it though. I've never sewn my finger down yet. Never say never, right? See, even with the point minus 0.9, it still almost is acting like it barely caught the edges. I bet you I could have gone in a little bit farther, as a matter of fact. Okay, now it's time to do the satin stitch. And it says it's going to be 9 minutes. We'll be back. Okay, so it's been 9 minutes. All done. Look. I used the cutaway on the back, so I cut it about 1 inch or so, half an inch around from the satin stitches. Didn't he turn out too cute? Look at that. All done. 10 minutes this thing was done. And while this thing was stitching, I cut out 3 more rhinoceri. Oh, cute. This is going to be darling, y'all. And it's so simple and so easy. I just love that I have figured out how to use this Simply Applique in conjunction with the ScanNCut. It just makes my life so much better. And your projects just come out so much more professional looking. In addition to, instead of doing the satin stitch, you can also do a blanket stitch or the bean stitch, which is like a straight stitch. And I forgot to tell you, when I put the fabric down on the mat, whichever size you have, the standard or the 24-inch, it has what's called a fabric support sheet attached to it. It makes it very, very sticky because you need that additional stickiness for fabric sometimes. So on the 24-inch mat, you have to put 2 of them, kind of butt them up together end to end on this long one, because the fabric support sheets are only like 12 inches long, I think. They're made for the standard mat. And I don't have a brayer. A brayer is a little rolly thing that you're supposed to really mash stuff down onto the. So, but I do have a Pampered Chef pastry roller. I use it. It gets more use. I don't make pastry, but I'm a gadget girl, so, you know, I was looking at a brayer, and I don't know how much they are, and I thought, I have something like that in my kitchen. So, and it has a little end and a big end, so it works really good. But I think that's it. So, I am working on that antique lace quilt too. Let me show you how far I've gotten. So you have to make, you know, stacks of squares. I got all that cutting done on the background fabric, and you have to make a gazillion half square triangles. So I have not quite half of the red ones done. I have to get these, because you sew 2 strips together, 2.5 inch strips, one red, well, one colored and one background fabric. You sew them together, and then you have to turn them into half on both sides, and then you use that angle ruler, half square triangle ruler. I forget what it's called. But you have to use that and then cut these all out, and now I have to open them up and press them. And when I press these, I use the June Taylor cut and press. It's a little mini ironing pressing pad, but it's got the 1-inch lines on it, and that helps me to make sure that I don't press these wonky. So I'm going to finish the Rhino quilt this afternoon because it's pretty simple. So hopefully next video I have one I can show you the top. Then I'm going to put it on the machine. So we'll talk to you guys later. See ya. Bye.